You may begin.
Yeah, I just thought, and I'm very conscious of this, I have to confess it all the time because all of you have heard this, operate in this, but I feel it's a good reminder for all of us. I personally have shared my testimony that the more I hear the same thing, the more it becomes a part of me. That's my own philosophy. And I suppose it should do the same for everybody else. And as we talk about relationship, I hope that we will not only relate in these meetings. It will be great if we can build cross, what you call it, cross relationship, what across, not across the board, but uh, you know, different ones of us can connect and build relationships as well. Relationships are not really built in meetings. I mean, we all know that. Someone said when we come to church, all that we relate to is the back of each other's head. That you see for 2 hours or 2.5 hours is the back of each other's head. Ask me about it. I've been there a long time. Of course, Peter is saying he can see my face in this case, but I'm talking about when we are in church. But the other thing about it is that we one of the things when you talk about relationship is that some people get uptight and they feel, how can I build relationship with everybody at the same level? And now that is absolutely impossible. The life of Jesus is an example of that. Jesus chose 12 disciples, and out of the 12, there were 3 that were closer to him. And then we learn eventually that there was one who was always only satisfied to rest on his bosom. And one of my beliefs is that that's why John was so close to the Lord that he thought that John would be the best person to give the ultimate revelation to. And that's the vision of the book of Revelation. Um, Scholars believe that Paul saw all that maybe John saw, but he said he was not given the liberty to write it or to speak about it even. So we relate at different levels, and that shouldn't stop us from building relationship. Of course, from the 12, Jesus had the 70, then the 500, and then the multitudes. None of us can build the same level of relationship with everybody, even on this platform. I don't even have the same relationship with all the people in my team, my leadership in the church, and then I have another body of what we call workers. I relate to them at different levels. And I remember I worked with my mentor, with people we were giving leadership. Many of them were magnetized to him. Others were magnetized to me. They would come and talk to me freely. Then I will share with my mentor what are some of the issues, and vice versa. So I thought I needed to say that to lest we leave with the fact, how can Brother Lionel say that we need to build relationship? We will never be able to build relationship at the same level. And even in this team, I don't have the time to kind of describe my relationship with each one of you on this platform. Maybe another day we will do that. Let me list for you very quickly the purpose and advantage of team ministry. Number one, team ministry provides a living demonstration of the principle of body ministry, which is, we all preach about the body. We have heard that ever since we got saved. From the time we got saved, we heard about the body. The power, Deuteronomy 17:6 speaks about in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. That was the first time that principle we seen being mentioned. Number 2, team ministry. Team can more effectively find the mind of God for a situation and pray towards the fulfillment of God's will. We have just seen that we are able to pray, and we hope, we agree. Let me read that scripture in Matthew 18 and verse 19. Again, I say unto you that if 2 of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, it shall be done for them of my Father, which is in heaven. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Number 3, team ministry. And Ecclesiastes, I wanted to read that to remind us. Ecclesiastes, point 2, chapter 4, verses 9 to 11. 2 are better than 1, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe unto them that is alone when he falls. He has not another to help him up. Again, if 2 lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? And if one prevail against him, 2 shall withstand him. And a 3-fold cord is not quickly broken. I usually make a strong, what you call it, not a doctrine, a strong, I take a strong position that it was only demons who ever said, leave us alone. When Jesus went to cast out the demon from the man at Gadara. And we read about Moses, that when his father-in-law said, you cannot do this alone. The children of Israel even told Moses by the Red Sea, you should have left us alone in Egypt. That spirit of wanting to be a lone ranger, wanting to, you can't work with anybody else. I feel there are strong demonic connections to that. I don't know if here I said that here, that T.L. Osborne, did I share that story that T.L. Osborne wrote in one of his books on personal evangelism way back in the 60s? T.L. Osborne wrote a dream or vision that he had, that the devil had a conference and all the demons came to the conference. And the main item on the agenda was how they can destroy the church and the Christians. And T.L. Osborne said the demons across the audience were standing up and making suggestions. And they were saying, let's burn down all the churches and kill the Christians. And the devil said to them, we have tried that. When we burn down one church, they build 50 other churches, more beautiful and bigger. Let's kill the Christians. When we kill, the devil says, when we kill 100 Christians, 1,000 new ones come up. We have tried all of that. And then T.L. Osborne describes in his book that one scrawny, mangy looking demon at the back of the audience stood up and said, I, sir, I think I have a suggestion. Let us take the Christians one by one. When they are alone, we can discourage them. When they are alone, we can tell them how nobody loves them, nobody cares. Even God deserts them, that a number of us can beat up on the one Christian. I have never forgotten that. I remind myself about it, and I constantly remind the people of God about it. The dynamism of togetherness. Number 3, team ministry provides a greater possibility for safety and balance. Proverbs 11:14, I will read that. Proverbs 11:14, where no counsel is, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. And I feel we have been working towards that. It has been great to listen to you all. My own heart has been encouraged. And I think Peter said that earlier on, that no one person has all that is needed. No one person, no matter how gifted, talented, powerful. No one ministry can build a church, no matter. And we have been living long enough, all of us here. We have been around maybe for decades to see that no matter how a ministry is great, because it cannot do it alone. Team ministry number 4 helps guard against the immoral traps set by the enemy. And it is being said that having friends is of absolute importance. And especially friends that maybe someone brought it down, that there should be at least one person besides God to whom you can open your guts, as we usually say. At least one person. At least one person. And I know of stories where men of God have been able to speak, open their hearts about a certain issue that would have destroyed their lives and their ministries, but because they had one person that they could have trusted besides God to tell that I need help in this area. And then finally, team ministry provides strength and encouragement for the minister. We remember the story with Moses, with Aaron and Hur lifting up his hands. That together they were able, while Joshua was down in the valley, fighting the battle on the ground, they were there together with the servant of the Lord, upholding him. Ministering with others provides a sense of inspiration and spiritual growth. The great fellowship involved provides great strength. When less experienced ministries can accompany more mature ones, the process of discipleship and training is strengthened. I know you all have heard all of this, but I feel it's a good reminder whether that we will be constantly reminded that this is a principle of God. I heard a gentleman on the radio the other day, Christian gentleman, and I'm going to say this and shut up. I never even looked at it that way, that, Elimelech with Naomi and their two sons went over, they left Bethlehem, went over to Moab for a short time only. They just went for a short time. They left the place that they should have been. God has a blueprint, whether it's time of famine or whatever it is. And it was this, they were going for a short time. They spent 10 years. And you all know the story. Naomi lost her husband, her two sons, and she had to return to the place, had to return home, as it were. God has a blueprint for our lives and a blueprint for his plan, his program, his will, that he doesn't change it for anybody else. Team is part of God's blueprint. Thank you.